I got there and I was holding my breath and I got the bull in my crosshairs.
This is a slam dunk for Mike. He's an experienced hunter. This bull is dead.
And I shot right over the top.
And this bull turns and looks back where the bullet hit the hillside. I'm like, Mike, you hit high. Just put in another round.
Hey folks, Randy Newberg here. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of what we call pivot points. Pivot points are those times in a hunt where things from that kind of intersection, they just go really good or they go really bad. And we've been trying to analyze some of our hunts, some that were successful, some that were unsuccessful, and let you know what we think was that pivot point that made or broke the hunt. And this one we're going to talk about is a New Mexico elk hunt with my Uncle Mike. So Uncle Mike is one of the greatest guys you could ever ask to have for an uncle. And I really wanted him to get a nice bull elk. So we go to this spot, and I've hunted it quite a few times, and like a lot of public land places, the fewer the roads, the more the elk, right? And I know that a lot of these private ranches get quite a bit of hunting pressure, and the only road going in here is like old, terrible, cobbled up road. And so it becomes a very good sanctuary area for a post-rut hunt. We're hunting the last, I think October 21st through the 25th or something. So I know for sure the elk are in post-rut mode. That means they're looking for sanctuaries. They're probably going to be solo. They haven't bachelored up yet. So I always try to find places where I can glass multiple sanctuaries at one glassing knob. So having hunted this place before, for me, I'm pretty familiar. I got this go-to spot. I'm like, all right away, first morning we're here, we can scout. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go into my favorite spot. And as we're going in there right away, I'm like, Mike, there's a bull right over there. And he's like, where? And sure enough, there's a bull, single bull, standing over there, 5-point. We get out to the glassing knob, and we get there and look out there, and I see another 5-point in this spot that always holds elk. And we spend the rest of the day glassing and looking, and on our way out that afternoon, I stumble into a really, really nice bull. Something that he's in a place you would never expect. He's really vulnerable. And I'm like, okay, heck with that spot that I know always has some elk. I'm glad I went in there, and I'm glad I confirmed that it's still that sanctuary that nobody really wants to go into. And there's still some elk out there. But we're going after this guy. So if you watch the episode, you know, we go in the next morning, we do the routine we always do, right? Leave way in the dark, get in with the wind in our favor, find that bull. Hopefully we've put him to bed in a spot where we can find him. Sure enough, it's like we're checking every box. We get there, get Uncle Mike set up on this bull. The bull finally gets up out of his bed, and Uncle Mike has these progressive lenses, whatever they are, like, I don't know, from regular vision to bifocal to trifocal. And so he's messing around with parallax on the scope. And when he pulls his head up, like, I'm not sure which way it would be, but he's like, oh yeah, I got it. And then when he'd really lean into it, he'd be like, what's going on? Well, we're like, you ever going to shoot? You ever going to shoot? And I don't think he ever got a really clear view in the scope. And he shot right over the bull. You saw the footage. Really a beautiful bull. Runs down in this canyon. We never find it. We hunt the rest of that day, and we don't find that bull. And Mike is really down in the dumps. But the pivot point of this hunt was having gone into a place that I knew would hold elk. Because that's kind of like one you can always have in your shirt pocket. You know, it's like the ace in the hole, as they say. And so I told Mike, don't worry about it. If things go well, we're going to go and we're going to hammer this spot that I consistently see elk in. just get that out of your head. It's not the end of the world. And so for me, the pivot point was not going and chasing that bull and going to a bunch of country that maybe held some elk, maybe didn't hold some elk. It was, one, the scouting day of having went to a spot that had all the characteristics and a place I'd been to before in late October. And as I always say, elk use their sanctuaries year after year after year, and when they die, some other bull comes and starts using that sanctuary. Well, going in and scouting that day and having that as our ace in the hole, having that as our fallback position was what turned this hunt and made this hunt a success. Yeah, it would have been a success if Mike could have filled that tag, but I'll be honest with you, that was just dumb luck that we stumbled into that bull. And you don't want to be counting on dumb luck, right? Or just whatever luck, gambler's luck. That's what there was no reason that bull should have been where he was, and there was no reason he should have stayed there. And usually there's other hunters there, but no one came and bumped him. But the fact that Mike was able to finally fill his tag was because we went back out to the spot and we glassed across. We're like, all right, there's a bull. He went into those pinyon juniper mix there on that shaded slope. He's going to be there, just like he was on the scouting day, just like he probably was yesterday. But we know he's there today. So we pull out, we go around, and as you see in the footage, we drop down into this canyon, get on this spine, and right at dark, Mike shoots this bull. So if we hadn't went and verified and tried to confirm, all right, that is a spot, it consistently holds elk in the post rut, we wouldn't have had a fallback for when Mike unfortunately missed the bull we randomly stumbled across. This hunt, we had that in our pocket. It was like, okay, we've seen him here scouting. I've seen him here in prior hunts. Let's just keep this as kind of one in our shirt pocket here, kind of the trump card you just lay out when the going gets rough. And that was the pivot point. We went and established that pattern. That's the first thing we did that day, that scouting day. Go to our number one A spot. The number one A spot, we saw two different bulls separate from each other. And we had that. That was kind of like our safety net, our blanket that was going to get us success, even though we might go and wander around and look for elk somewhere else. So if you have those days to scout, go to your number one spot. The best time of the best scouting day you have, be in your number one spot. And from that spot, I could glass 3 or 4 really good locations. 2 of them had bulls. Because we did that, I think that's why we were able to salvage Mike's hunt. And he shot his first bull. And as you said, Mike, what did he say? Man, he meant to say I'm ecstatic.
I'm exotic, to say the least.
Exotic or ecstatic?
That's what I meant. Yeah, ecstatic. Yeah, this is exotic. Yeah.
It's just my family. A lot of times they say something that they meant something else, but you all know what they meant. So anyhow, I hope that you enjoy these. I hope that some of these pivot points or some of these lessons that come from our failures or some of our successes, like in this hunt, right? We had a failure, but we were able to salvage a hunt because we did something else, because we had prepared and we had a fallback plan. I hope this kind of stuff is helpful for you to be thinking about when you're doing your e-scouting or when you're out in the field. Thanks for watching.